Welcome to the enLIGHTenUP podcast. I am your host, Nicole Frolick, and I invite you to cozy up with me each week as I explore all aspects of the spiritual journey, spiritual biohacking, and expanding the mind beyond this reality. Remember that the collective awakening can start by planting one seed. So thanks for being such an amazing audience and sharing these shows with your family and friends. So without further ado, let's jump right into the episode and find out what we're discovering today. Hey everyone, welcome back to the enLIGHTenUP podcast. I am your host, Nicole Frolick, and that's right. I just wanted to go through a little bit of housekeeping here to give everyone an update going forward. I will be the only one hosting the show, but I want everyone to know that Lisa and Brian were still awesome. We love each other. They're just getting pulled in a couple of different directions, and they've got to follow what their kind of heart's pulling at right now. But today I'm excited to bring back one of my favorite guests, Marina Jacobi. She is an energy philanthropist, and she also is a channeler. Marina, welcome back to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Oh, thank you so much, Nicole, for having me. I had a wonderful time with you on the cruise. We had a great experience. So I'm very happy to be part of your, podcast.
Yeah, it's so good to have you here. And of course, in the midst of everything that's going on in our world right now, there's so much uncertainty. But in a lot of the darkness, I feel there's a lot of light coming through. Starting to see some of the positivity that this event is bringing despite the chaos. How are you interpreting what's happening right now with coronavirus and the economy and all of that?
Well, I think right now it's a very challenging time for everybody. And the way I was told a couple of months ago was to be cautious and absolutely not to get out of the country, out of US. And I had no idea what my guides, the Council of Nine, was talking about. And later on, somebody was asking me about Sweden, and this is the time when the download came in regarding virus in the air, human plague, and I'm quoting, they said that evil has a reason, but this is beyond evil, this is insanity. So I think behind coronavirus, there is a lot of layers of platforms that were used. And at the same time, I was told a while ago that the white hats of the military is going to save the world, basically. And I think that coronavirus does exist to a platform, even in our reality. However, it's being used from positive side of governments and military intelligence to basically do whatever they need to do in order humanity to move forward. And that's what I know is happening. They did not tell me exactly if this is a combined together, but of everything I've heard from them and everything that they're telling me, it's becoming very clear that this is one of the cases. Because again, they told me it's a lot of fluctuations, a lot of experiences for everybody, and probably one of the most challenging time for humanity right now, because while some people will have a smooth transition, some other people can have the toughest time in their life because timelines are splitting up, and whoever doesn't match the frequency of the new timeline, they will have very big challenges right now that they have to overcome to move forward, or simply something else is going to happen. And this is what I see constantly happening around. It was necessary to be this way because they told me that humanity needs to wake up. Humanity needs to be awakened. And while you and I, for example, and probably the people that are listening to us have idea of what is really going on, or some ideas of what's happening, a lot of humanity is being in a situation that they didn't have the time to do a lot of research, or because of family situation or something else that is happening, and the only thing that they were doing was they were watching the mainstream media. And it happened to be that the mainstream media is actually one of the sources that was not being honest with humanity, and it was putting humanity in a state of amnesia, to the point that you had no idea what you were dealing with, and that you were in a prison planet, and they were using us as a cattle. And I would strongly suggest for everybody to go to my YouTube channel, The Harmonic Reactor, and to scroll down and look into Freedom Awakening. This is a sub channel that I created by the request of everybody, because everybody was saying, Marina, we understand what you're saying, but how can we find the information? Because it's so much disinformation there. And I created that sub channel, Freedom Awakening. You're going to see it with the big letters. So people from all over the world that did documentaries, whistleblowers, even technology, including cures and everything else. This is in this channel, so you will be able to see the proof by videos, by documentaries, by people talking about it and telling their story. And the rabbit hole is going really, really deep, that not everybody will be able to handle the truth. So what I'm saying is for people to really start doing their research. And what is really happening right now, and on the media and in the government, it's absolutely obvious to me, and I hope for the rest of the people in this country, who is running the show and who is trying to manipulate humanity. Where you're in the midst of such a crisis, in the midst of such a situation, you cannot play political games, and you have to really help humanity. And yet a lot of people are still waiting for their payments and whatever they're doing because of political game that the parties are playing. So for me, it's pretty clear what is really happening, but people need to really wake up. And they told me that for these people that never saw what's happening, this is going to be the most challenging time for them, because everything that is off balance with them is going to pop right in their faces, and they will have no other choice but to deal with it or to see what's really going on. And that's going to be very challenging. So the Council of Nine also told me that within a month from now, things will start subsiding with the situation of coronavirus in USA. Then it's going to be Europe, and then it's going to be Asia. They told me that they will not they will give us the information fractally, the way it was given fractally before the coronavirus, and everybody was told from them through me not to travel out of the country. I even had people emailing me and telling me that listening to my story and whatever I was saying, they never traveled to Europe, and right now they feel much better that they're here. But I gotta tell you that US will prevail. The right person will be still in office, and the end result is going to be in the name of humanity. However, how this will fluctuate and what is going to be the midst in between, who is going to do what, I'm not told. I'm sure it's because of my protection, or could be because they told me when there's so much fluctuation between situations, they also have to make sure that they have the proper timeline locked in into the reality in order for them to be able to give us the right, information. So that's why they do not want to do something completely uh, like this is going to happen or that is going to happen, because they said even that will be in fluctuation. But the end result is in the name of humanity. And I just next week I'm launching publicly. I gave to all my subscribers yesterday my 2 new books of predictions, downloads and predictions, and scientific downloads. Those 2 books I launch yesterday to all my subscribers, and next week is going to be public, those two books. And in these books, through the last couple of years, I collected all the downloads in the information of future predictions, which means is locked up timelines of parallel reality that is going to be for sure 100%. But in everything is in code. And if you read these books, please keep in mind is in download. I was not allowed to change one word because it's in code, and each word they told me has a sonic vibrational pull that is creating a fractal reality, and is also creating a timeline, which creates a matrix in your consciousness. And that's why it was fundamental for me, of all the books that I have, not to change anything except some kind of a spelling error or something like this. But usually the sentences, they stay the way they were given to me by codes. And that is for now that I was told. This Saturday at 1 p.m. I'm going to have again another live webinar, because that was again from people's requests. I usually do every second Saturday of the month at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And but because of what's really happening, people really wanted to do it every Saturday. So I'm going to honor their request and do whatever I need to do to help at this time.
Yeah, you had quite a few people on the last one. I was on there and there was over 350 people on there.
Yes, almost. Yeah, 360 something. I'm not really sure. Something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it's really important when one of the things that I like to put out there at this time is how important it is that all of us stay in a frequency that assists the timeline of awakening, the timeline that is positive for humanity. And one of the ways that we can do that is to look at what's happening around us in our world, what we're seeing, and how that might be a reflection of things that are going on within each of us. Because there's no way that any of this could be happening around us if it wasn't happening within us. And one of the topics that's really kind of come to my own personal awareness is the idea of sovereignty, of boundaries, and feeling safe. And I think a lot of people are, of course, definitely going through this "am I safe" kind of feeling question. And it brings up a lot about personal sovereignty and boundaries, and how well are you standing in your own boundaries? How good are your boundaries that you've created for yourself out of self love? For me personally, it's interesting, the whole timing of everything. Marina, I don't know if you're aware, but back in November, I started to uncover and remember sexual abuse that happened to me when I was 5. And I've been doing a lot of healing around that. And it seems it's just so interesting. As I finally did some healing and going through that, I talked about it on my channel a lot. And um, so much has come through in the sense that I'm now experiencing well, I had someone really try to push past like a boundary where I wasn't feeling comfortable, and I had to speak up and tell them how uncomfortable they were making me feel and that I didn't like it. I've also had someone recently that I've had to cut out of my life because they were not respecting my boundaries. And just 2 nights ago, on a live call that we were doing with a few other people, we were hacked very big, like big. Our Zoom call was hacked and they took over the screen. They were writing very derogatory things or drawing derogatory things, playing like derogatory music, and they were took over the chat. And, I look at these things and I said, okay, this is part of my reality right now. How is this? Why is this happening right now? Where is the lesson? Like, what do I need to bring into my awareness around that? Because these things don't happen unless there's a call within to bring awareness to it. Correct?
Yes, it is, but because listen, what's happening right now, you live in one reality and you're creating a new one. You're basically shifting timelines. But when you're
Mm-hmm.
shifting one timeline to another, it doesn't happen one day you hear and the next day is here, the way they were talking about this event stuff. Event is just fractally momentums to build to that moment, but it's not one day you in a darkness of the places and the next day you're in utopia society and stuff like this. You need to learn the curvature about this. So what's really happening here is timelines are collapsing, and sometimes you will end up in a situation, could be something like this, or you end up in a store and you're going to see people fighting like lunatics there. But how you represent yourself in that momentum and how you hold that vibration in this moment and how you switch your emotional frequency from negative to positive, that is what is needed and necessary. So if something like this happens, instead to really be and say, oh my God, what's happening, I cannot believe this happened to me, you're going to say, oh, thank you very much, I see what are you doing. The next momentum, you of course you're going to shut down the program, you're going to do whatever you need to do, but you need to neutralize this type of reality, because it just, when you go into the next level, you're also under the umbrella of ascension protocol, where a lot of fluctuations of different realities are popping in, and how you maneuver yourself through these timelines is what is the most important for you, because you can hold the vibration of the higher knowledge, which is going to give you a higher frequency, by maneuvering everything you see from the lower frequency. Because if somebody was in the right conscious mind and well, from their perspective, obviously they're in the right conscious mind, whatever they were doing, or maybe they were paid for to troll, that's okay. Right now everything is happening for a reason. But think about it, that maybe the situation was, you need to find the positivity in this situation, because if this didn't happen, next time you wouldn't look for other platforms, and you're not going to be aware that people can do stuff like this. So next time you put a armor around you, so stuff like this won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So the goal is to switch your understanding and to start implementing what is necessary to transform the negative platform with a positive.
Yeah. And I think that's great. And I think that's really important for everyone to be reminded of, because through all of this, I haven't ever felt like, oh no, I'm doing something wrong. But it's been really interesting to observe that as I've been doing a lot of the healing, some of the stuff is still coming up, but I haven't ever looked at it as in like, how dare you do this to me or anything like that, but more of like a thank you for bringing this into my awareness, and neutralizing it through gratitude for just seeing the awareness of the fact that, to me, it feels more of like you were saying, in a sense that you can't just drop one program altogether and instantly move into another one without any sort of mixing and mingling of the energies. And that's what kind of what it's feel like. Almost feels like the old subconscious programming, the ego, is still kind of has a little bit of a hold there of things there, while as I'm transitioning into a timeline that releases all of the
Mhm.
past.
Well, I would say think of it from a quantum point of view. Since you're the hologram,
Mm-hmm.
anything in your old version of self, you end up accumulating a lot of this frequency matrix of realities, platforms, and resonances, and everything else. Think of a soup of different frequency. When in order to move to the next level, every frequency that is the lower vibrational density needs to be neutralized, cleared out. So when you, as you're moving forward and forward to the new vibration, the higher frequency, everything that is off balance with the old version of yourself is going to come there, because it needs to be completely clear to 0 point. That means nothing of that resonance, it's staying in your old version hologram, because it's basically leaking. Think of it as a computer that you have a sub program in there that is still running. Well, in a computer program, if you have a sub program that is running, it has to be completely erased. So that's how you're going to think of your reality, because if you think of it, that's your quantum field. You're like a computer. Think of it as a computer, because consciousness is actually of different vibrational sequences and measurements that create in a hologram, which creates a matrix of different geometry, and each geometry and location has its own altitude, latitude of the curvature and the spinning of the vibration. So this is, if you start thinking in more a quantum level, then you're off disengaging with the illusion of the hologram, and you're starting to process the information through complete understanding of the quantum field and awareness, and not getting caught up of the illusion of this manipulation that we were put into. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Okay. So that's how you look at it. That's how you need to train yourself every single time situations occurs to you. You need to neutralize it. You need to give the gratitude and switch your emotion from negative to positive. As at the same time, you need to take the action from the positive. Those three are very fundamental. Emotion, thought, and action has to be from that type of a vibration in order to create and shift the next momentum into positive outcome.
Hmm. Well, for me, like the action has been speaking up for what I doesn't feel good for me. Whereas before I would never speak up. I would just hope it would go away, you know? And that's not me having good boundaries. And that's not where I want to be right now. So, um, having,
But that's not how you cross crystallize in the reality. In order for you to, you've got to understand that when you put a thought, that becomes like a matrix in your field. It's almost like a blueprint. But that blueprint is not yet matter. In order to become matter, you got to put enough emotion and action of a frequency vibration to actually zap it so fast and so rapidly, in order this to be with a steady tonality of vibration, in order to pop it into matter, almost like inflating a balloon that pops into matter. Nothing, things will still manifest because you still put a vibrational signal, but it will be randomly. It's not going to be, you're not going to be basically the pilot of your ship.
so okay, that I'm a little bit confused about then. How is me not shifting the way I interact with someone crossing my boundaries, not taking action to crystallize it?
You need to repeat that question to me again.
So maybe I misinterpreted what you said, but it sounded to me like you were saying that I wasn't crystallizing it by taking the action of standing up for myself and telling someone I didn't like that they were perhaps disrespecting my boundaries, or taking the action to remove them from my life, so that because that's not acceptable behavior for me anymore.
I
And
would say the second one. I would say that you have to take an action to find the best possible way through the harsh structure, through positive, to of disengage with this type of a people, this type of situations. And the way to do that is by knowing the knowledge of the quantum manifestation protocol, because there they were giving us exactly how, one, two, three, what are the steps into the quantum field through metaphysical understanding to create your proper hologram by your choosing.
okay, so that's what I'm saying is by me taking those actions, that is crystallizing it, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. So yeah,
But what type of actions? From what intention? What type of a frequency you putting into this action?
well, the intention is to stand up for myself and to know what's appropriate and not, and what, and not from a like a how dare you do this to me, but this is just unacceptable. I
That's
don't
right.
want this in my life, because it's more of like a self-love preservation of,
Yes.
what's
Yeah.
healthy for me.
That's right. Being good does not mean you gotta let somebody take over your consciousness. Being good is being aware and have the power to say no when is necessary to preserve your consciousness.
Exactly.
And that is your right as a being, as a consciousness itself.
Mhm. Exactly. And also to have gratitude for the whole lesson is important. I like, to
Yes,
me, that's how I find the gratitude, like help to get me into that frequency, to zero point everything, to neutralize it, is to find the
Mhm.
gratitude in the lesson for bringing my awareness to something that perhaps I wouldn't have had the awareness of without that experience.
That's right. They told me it's like a curvature of learning. If you want to be a surgeon and you think that you're a surgeon, imagine yourself all of a sudden in front of the surgical table. Well, are you sure you're going to be able to do this in a physical matter when you take the knife everything that is necessary. No, you need to learn step by step how you got there. And that momentum is fundamental, because through this momentum, you build in your strength, you build in your knowledge, you build in your power to overcome something that is challenging. That's what is necessary, even at this momentum's now, to move forward.
Mm. You know, watching your not your most recent one, but the one before that, yours, I think it was episode 5 of season 3. Did you just do 6 last week?
Yes.
Yeah. And you
I
were
did 6, and episode 5 was the first time the Council of Nine did it, a long time.
yeah, so you,
Yes.
for the audience who may have not seen your videos, you went into channel the entire time.
Yeah, that's season 3, episode 5.
Yeah, and it was really emotional when you came out of it at the end. I felt that moved
Yes.
me.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was emotional because you're dealing with a different type of frequency. And if people never experience something like this, I can explain it like, imagine you have a wave of frequency into your body, to the point that you feel very happy at the same time, but very calm at the same time. And you get like a goosebumps coming in a waves through your body. Once you are able to hold that vibration for a long time, becomes very apparent that you can handle it and it's normal for you. And then you start talking without even thinking. It becomes one with you, because I have an opening channeling that I'm constantly talking, but I can pull back and listen and then interpret it. This When this happens, you literally start talking without thinking. And I've noticed that this happening to me a lot of times, even when I do personal sessions with people, but they don't even know, because it's becoming normal thing for me. It's almost like you're in two realities at the same time, but not in physical.
Mm,
If I walk through the house, if I ask a question, I constantly talk to them. It could be the Council of Nine, could be the Pleiadians, it could be one of my guidance, and I am in a constant conversation in my head. This is nonstop. My head is constantly busy. And when you do direct channeling like this, is you talking directly. But I've noticed that I can tune in so easily, so some people think I'm talking, but actually they're talking, they don't even know. Because it becomes part of you until you're ready to merge frequencies and realities for eventually physical contact, which is another level of understanding and the next step of evolution of humanity. Because we are going to go interstellar. So when they pull out, it became very emotional, because it's almost like your mommy left you. You felt the whole frequency kind of was
mm,
different, and it was
mhm.
very, very emotional, because I never did it for that long. That channeling that time was by their request, literally half an hour, maybe a couple of hours, I don't remember, before the session, before the webinar.
So the love frequency that you were feeling was so strong that when the channeling ended, it felt like it was, I don't want to say it was taken away, but it obviously was dampened.
It was very different. It was very different. And it was not only low frequency, it was also a combination of multiple frequencies. You feel a lot of stuff at the same time. That's how it feels.
hmm Yeah, I've noticed that I've started channeling a little bit more as I'm working either with clients or I'm doing, like, I use the tarot cards. It just, for me,
Mm-hmm.
um it activates a lot more of my intuition. I'm very visual, so I love looking at the pictures and cards, and it just sparks things within me. And
Mm-hmm.
I find that when I do start channeling, it's like it just comes out so fast. Like, I'm not thinking about anything, like you were saying, and it's just kind of streaming out. And
But that's just the permission slip, your cards, the way I did the automatic writing.
mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a permission slip which is going to put you more and more in the vibration of the knowing, to the point that when people come in, you're going to realize that eventually you don't need to really flip all the cards,
No.
because you're simply going to know. And that is going to be a curvature again of a process that you're going to embed in your resonance, in order to understand that you already knew everything, but you just needed to match the proper frequency.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. And that's something that I've been noticing is that I don't need the cards to do it, but I have so much fun when I use them.
No, that's I do automatic writing sometimes, especially if it's something scientific. I make sure that I want to write down, because when I'm with the scientists and talk to the scientific group, once in a while I talk to them, and that's a lot more complex. I have to make sure
Do you have
when
any
it comes to technology.
yeah, do you have any I mean, you've kind of talked about it, but if you could just say it in this place right now, of because I'm noticing that a lot of people are like a lot of my clients, people who write into me, and I'm sure you're seeing it as well, that this is starting to happen in a lot of people, where
Hmm.
their gifts are really starting to like come online, strengthen, increase in frequency, or occurrence too. For people who are perhaps utilizing it or wanting to um, access it more, what suggestions do you have? And I know it's different for everyone, but if you could, do you have any suggestions?
What they told me was that we have to move into the heart structure. That's why we talk about energy philanthropy a lot. To the point that you can exchange, and you can, if you're the person that is single and you're the main provider, you do whatever you do to provide for yourself, and you have price and everything else, but at the same time find a momentum that you can help somebody that has nothing, because you need to start implementing the new vibrational signals into your consciousness that you give without expectations. And more you do, more and more implement that, you're gonna see how abundance will come more for you, and not only through something but also with money. All of a sudden money will start pouring out of everywhere, because you cannot reject the money structure, but you can incorporate it into everything else. Money actually will build the eco cities and stuff, because again, is a transition. So they told me, in order to do that, all the new channelers, all the new expo people, and whoever is doing something, we have to start doing a new type of modality in order for us to move forward. And they told me, and I'm quoting, whoever doesn't start implementing that, something is going to happen in their reality, that they no longer will be able to extract information out of the fifth dimensional platform of timeline. It's not going to be totally accurate. That is because they're no longer matching the frequency from the heart structure, or it's fluctuating too much. They may be accurate here, but something else may not be there. Or they will say, well, I saw this happen. And I can say, no, I saw something like this happen. That's because you're staying in a different resonance compared with them. And this way, you will never be able, actually, you don't know the signals, because you don't project the signals from yourself to create the reality to see the signals. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this is what they told me for something like that. We have to be in the heart. We have to start helping each other out through supporting from money and everything. Support the people that you know they need something. The way people come to you and they support you and stuff like that. And little by little, we're gonna move to utopia society. How is that exactly gonna play out? I don't know, because they also told me, the council also told me that everything is gonna happen fractally. For one person will be easy transition, for the next person will be more challenging. However, we're gonna prevail, we're gonna move forward, and I'm just hoping that everyone that's listening is choosing to really start helping each other out, to start expressing your heart, and be compassionate towards others, because this is the new beginning, and this is what is needed to raise the vibration of your consciousness and to move forward.
I was reminded while you were speaking of I did a live tarot reading yesterday on my channel and on Facebook, and a guy asked, what of my skill sets can I use to help humanity right now? And the message that came through for him was to lean into the one he's um I want to say most doubtful of, scared of, that there's not only were there lessons there, but that's where he would flourish the most. And when I think about from my own personal level, I've been wanting to do this work since I was 25, and I'm now 40. I'm going to be 43 in May. And it's the one that I was so scared of, like the judgment. Do I even trust the information that I'm giving? Is it accurate? All the things that kind of come through anyone who's trying to use their intuition in a skill set to help humanity. And it just made, I can see how it can apply that. I think a lot of people are scared that they're not going to be accurate, or they're not getting the right information, or that they just don't want to steer anyone in the wrong direction. And I think
Mm-hmm.
um, it's important to know that often I've found that the places where I might be scared to leap into are the places that have brought me the most abundance, whether it's in heart joy, whether it's in finances, whether it's in relationship, whatever it is, that there's something there that um, the lessons of us moving through the fear to conquer that also brings in so much abundance in itself.
This is completely correct, because you can do a lot to move forward. And for everybody, should be, we need to understand that for all of us will have a different challenges, and you have to really look within yourself what is the most exciting for you to do, or what is the most common denominator that you can implement in your daily life. And if you run on that program for yourself and every day, everything else is kind of gonna smoothly, I would say, work out in the end.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to jump into your new books. I got your email yesterday.
Oh, thank you.
And so everyone who's didn't receive your email, they'll be available next week. Which this is the next week is when this podcast will be released. So where can people download it off your website? The books.
Yes, marinajacobi.com. Marina, like a marina, and Jacobi is JACOBI.com. And you're going to just see on the main screen 4 books actually. You're going to see, and you can download the books. And if you would like to leave a donation, it's all up to you. They are given in the name of humanity. And you can download without giving a donation, or you can give a donation from your heart if you wish to support my work.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Marina. I know it's been a little bit of a shorter episode, but Marina is working around the clock, and I'm just so thankful that you you gave me some of your time. You donated some of your time over here to us and to our
Thank
listeners.
you.
Um, Check out her live webinars. If you get on her email list, you'll get access. You'll get the Zoom links, or through her Facebook page. You'll get access to her live webinars where you can actually ask questions to the Council of Nine, who's channeling right now. But I know actually it's not just the Council of Nine, it's just whoever's coming through, whatever messages, correct?
Yes, we usually is the Council of Nine up front.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Some of the questions that people are asking provide really helpful answers for everyone.
Yes, some of them are more challenging, and some of them are I mean, I love it. I love the Q&A because people really get to ask any type of questions. And there were situations that the council will literally, they on season 3, the video 5, episode 5, they literally plaster and remove somebody's hologram. It was very interesting. And then the next one, there was another gentleman that was very gracious to say, would the council change that for me? I give permission, but they completely decline. So that proves to us that they are not our savior, okay? They're here to help us through the process because we're part of them and they're part of us. But that doesn't mean that they're going to come and save us for everything. They will totally help us with everything we need to do. And if it's a danger, they may help you physically. I had these situations happen to me, and then one was a physical help and I was saved. But a lot of people don't know about it,
Mm,
you
hmm.
know.
Yeah, so to our audience, check that out. I'll leave all of the information for you guys to link up to Marina's website and her newsletter. And thanks so much, Marina, for coming on the show again.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and I love you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. And guys, we love you so much. We'll check you out next week. Thanks so much for joining us again. Bye.
Thank you all for joining our show. We appreciate you tuning in and supporting us. If any of you have any questions you would like answered on the show or any guests that you would like to hear on our show, please email that information to us at info@enlightenup.us or send us a voice message using the Anchor app. There's a super cool feature on there that allows you to send us a message or ask us a question with a touch of a button right from the app. And please continue to support us by following us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And if you haven't checked out Nicole's channel on YouTube yet, head on over there for some more insight from her, or you can visit her website, inflexibleme.com, where you can book a personal coaching session or a tarot reading, watch some of her most informative videos, or you can sign up for her newsletter. And if you're interested in some light language healing, head to my YouTube channel, lisaloveslove.com, or send me an email to lisa@lisaloveslove.com to inquire about your own personal reading. Thank you again for joining us and supporting us, and we'll be back with you all next week.